Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt this strange, almost inexplicable discomfort as your birthday approaches? You know, that knot in your stomach that tightens when you realize the day is about to come. Not because you're excited, but because the very idea of celebrating yourself feels wrong. If you're a Sigma male, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're not, well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the psychology of why Sigma males hate their birthdays. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll not only understand it on a deeper level, but you might even see a bit of yourself in this journey. Now, before we go any further, let me set the stage. If you're here, you're probably familiar with the term Sigma male, and no, this isn't some trendy internet meme or a shallow personality type. Being a Sigma male is about living outside the social hierarchy, rejecting the need to conform to societal expectations, and carving your own path in life. Sigmas are lone wolves. We operate independently, thrive in solitude, and avoid the constant noise of the world. But when it comes to birthdays, that's where things get complicated. Let's break it down.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Birthdays, at their core, are a societal construct. They're designed to bring people together, to celebrate milestones, and to reinforce a sense of belonging within a community. But for a Sigma male, that entire premise clashes with our identity. You see, we don't live for external validation. We don't need applause, attention, or a crowd of people singing happy birthday to feel whole. In fact, for many of us, that kind of attention feels suffocating. It's like being dragged into a spotlight we never asked for. And the irony? The more people try to celebrate us, the more disconnected we feel. But there's more to it than just discomfort with attention. For a Sigma male, a birthday isn't just a day. It's a symbol. It's a reminder of the passage of time, of the fleeting nature of existence, and of the societal expectations tied to age. Think about it. Every birthday comes with this unspoken pressure. What have you achieved this year? Where are you in life? Are you living up to the expectations of others? And if you're a Sigma, you've likely rejected those expectations long ago. But society doesn't care. The questions still linger, and the weight of them can be overwhelming. Here's where it gets even deeper. Birthdays force us to confront our own mortality. For most people, this confrontation is subtle, almost subconscious. But for Sigmas, who are naturally introspective and hyper-aware, the realization hits harder. Each passing year is a stark reminder that time is slipping away, that the clock is ticking, and that life is finite. And instead of celebrating, we find ourselves questioning, am I using my time wisely? Am I staying true to myself? Am I living authentically? These are heavy questions, and they don't fit neatly into the happy, carefree atmosphere of a birthday party. And let's not forget the social dynamics of birthdays. For most people, birthdays are about connection. They're about bringing people together, sharing joy, and strengthening relationships. But for a Sigma, who thrives in solitude and values quality over quantity in relationships, the idea of gathering a group of people, many of whom might not truly understand us, feels hollow. It's not that we don't value relationships. We do. But we value authentic relationships, the kind that don't need a special occasion to be celebrated. A Sigma male doesn't need a birthday party to validate their connections. In fact, we often find more meaning in a quiet, one-on-one conversation than in a room full of people. So what's the practical takeaway here? If you're a Sigma male who dreads birthdays, know that you're not alone. Your feelings are valid, and they stem from your deeply ingrained values and perspective on life. But here's the thing. You don't have to conform to societal expectations. You don't have to celebrate your birthday in the way others do. Instead, use the day as an opportunity for self-reflection. Take time to assess where you are in life, not based on external metrics, but based on your own goals and values. Spend the day doing something that brings you joy, whether that's exploring a passion, spending time in nature, or simply enjoying your own company. And if you're not a Sigma, but you know someone who is, here's my advice. Respect their boundaries. Don't pressure them into celebrating in a way that makes them uncomfortable. Instead, offer them space and support. Let them know you appreciate them, but don't force them into the spotlight. Sometimes the most meaningful gesture is simply understanding and accepting someone for who they are. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all makes sense on a logical level. But what about the emotional side? What about the deep-seated feelings of isolation, of being misunderstood that often come with rejecting societal norms? And what about the moments of doubt when even the most confident Sigma male wonders if they're missing out on something by not embracing birthdays the way others do? These are powerful questions, and the answers aren't simple, but they're worth exploring. Now let's get into the emotional core of why Sigma males hate their birthdays. We've covered the logical reasons: our rejection of external validation, our discomfort with societal expectations, and the looming reminder of mortality. But beneath all of that lies something deeper, something more personal. You see, for many Sigma males, birthdays don't just feel unnecessary or uncomfortable. They can actually feel alienating. And that's because at their core, birthdays are a celebration of connection. They're a social ritual. And for someone who lives outside of the social hierarchy, that ritual can feel fundamentally out of sync with who we are. Let's break it down. When you think about a birthday, what comes to mind? Maybe it's a party, a cake, a group of people gathered together. Maybe it's laughter, shared memories, and the warmth of being surrounded by others. For most people, birthdays are about belonging. They're about saying you matter to this group. You're a part of something bigger than yourself, but for a Sigma male, that kind of belonging can feel foreign. It's not that we don't value connection, we do, but we value it on our own terms. We don't want to be part of a group just for the sake of being part of a group. We want relationships that are authentic, meaningful, and free from societal expectations. And when a birthday forces us into a social ritual that doesn't align with our values, it can feel isolating. But there's more to it than that. For many Sigma males, birthdays bring up a deeper existential question. What does it mean to be celebrated? Think about it. When someone says, "Happy birthday," what are they really saying? They're saying, "We're glad you were born. We're glad you exist," and while that might sound simple or even beautiful, for a Sigma male, it can spark a cascade of deeper thoughts. Because we don't just accept things at face value. We analyze, we question, we dig deeper. And so, when someone celebrates our existence, we can't help but wonder, why? What have I done to deserve this? Have I truly lived up to my potential? Am I living a life that's worth celebrating? These questions can be overwhelming. They can make a day that's supposed to feel joyful and lighthearted feel heavy and introspective. And for a Sigma male who's already prone to introspection, birthdays can become a kind of emotional minefield. We don't just see the surface-level celebration, we see the deeper implications. We see the passage of time, the expectations of others, and the weight of our own self-imposed standards. And instead of feeling celebrated, we often feel scrutinized by society, by others, and most of all, by ourselves. But here's where it gets even more interesting. For a Sigma male, the discomfort with birthdays isn't just about the day itself. It's about what the day represents. Birthdays are a reminder of our place in the world. They're a marker of time, a way of measuring progress, and a reflection of our relationships. And for someone who's chosen to live outside the traditional social structure, those reflections can be challenging. Because they force us to confront the gap between who we are and who society expects us to be. Take relationships, for example. On a birthday, you're supposed to be surrounded by friends and loved ones. You're supposed to feel a sense of community and connection. But for a Sigma male who values independence and solitude, that expectation can feel misplaced. It's not that we don't have meaningful relationships. We do. But we often keep our social circles small and selective. We prioritize quality over quantity. And so when a birthday rolls around and we're not surrounded by a large, loud group of people, it can feel like we're failing to meet some unspoken societal standard. Even if we don't care about that standard, the pressure is still there, lingering in the background. And then there's the question of achievement. Birthdays are often seen as milestones, a chance to look back on the past year and celebrate what you've accomplished. But for a Sigma male who's constantly striving for self-improvement and personal growth, that kind of reflection can be bittersweet. Because we're never satisfied with where we are. We're always looking ahead, always pushing ourselves to do more, to be better, to reach the next level. And so, instead of celebrating what we've achieved, we often find ourselves fixating on what we haven't. We see the gaps, the missed opportunities, and the areas where we still need to grow. And instead of feeling proud, we feel restless. So what's the solution? How can a Sigma male navigate the emotional complexities of a birthday without losing themselves in the process? The answer lies in reframing. Instead of seeing a birthday as a celebration of external achievements or social connections, we can choose to see it as a celebration of internal growth. We can use the day as an opportunity to reflect on how far we've come. Not in terms of what we've done, but in terms of who we've become. We can ask ourselves, am I living authentically? Am I staying true to my values? Am I growing in the ways that matter most to me? These are the kinds of questions that resonate with a Sigma male. And by focusing on them, we can transform a day that feels alienating into a day that feels meaningful. But let's not sugarcoat it. Even with reframing, birthdays can still be challenging for a Sigma male. They can still bring up feelings of discomfort, isolation, and introspection. And that's okay, because those feelings are part of who we are. They're a reflection of our depth, our independence, and our refusal to conform. And in a world that's constantly trying to box us in, those qualities are worth celebrating. By now, we've established that Sigma males hate their birthdays not because of some superficial dislike for celebration, but because of the layers of meaning, expectation, and introspection that come with the day. But there's still one more dimension to this that we haven't fully explored: the philosophical side. Because for a Sigma male, a birthday isn't just a marker of time. It's a confrontation with the core questions of existence. And if you've ever found yourself spiraling into deep, existential thought as your birthday approaches, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the thing. A birthday isn't just a day. It's a symbol. It's a reminder that we are finite beings moving through an infinite universe. And for someone who thrives on independence and self-mastery, that realization can feel both empowering and terrifying. On the one hand, it's a call to action. It's a reminder that our time is limited and that we need to make the most of it. But on the other hand, it's a sobering acknowledgement of our own mortality. No matter how much we achieve, no matter how much we grow, no matter how far we push ourselves, the clock keeps ticking. And for a Sigma male who's constantly striving for self-improvement, that ticking clock can feel like a constant, unrelenting pressure. But let's take this a step further. For a Sigma male, a birthday isn't just a reminder of mortality. It's a reminder of individuality. It's a day that's supposed to be all about you. But what does that even mean? What does it mean to celebrate yourself? For most people, it's simple. It means acknowledging your existence, your relationships, your achievements. But for a Sigma, who rejects societal norms and values internal validation over external recognition, that kind of celebration can feel hollow. We don't want to be celebrated for existing. We want to be celebrated for living authentically, for staying true to ourselves, for walking our own path. And when a birthday fails to capture that deeper meaning, it can feel like a missed opportunity, or worse, a distraction. And then there's the question of identity. For a Sigma male, a birthday isn't just a celebration of who we are. It's a reflection of who we've been and who we're becoming. It's a chance to look back on the past year and ask ourselves, have I grown? Have I evolved? Am I closer to becoming the person I want to be? These are not easy questions. They require deep introspection, brutal honesty, and a willingness to confront our own flaws and limitations. And for a Sigma, who's constantly seeking self-mastery, that kind of introspection can be both exhilarating and exhausting. Because no matter how much progress we've made, there's always more work to be done. There's always another level to reach, another challenge to overcome, another layer of ourselves to uncover. And instead of celebrating how far we've come, we often find ourselves fixating on how far we still have to go. But here's where it gets even more philosophical. For a Sigma male, a birthday isn't just about time, mortality, or identity. It's about meaning. It's about asking the big questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Am I living a life that matters? These are the questions that keep us up at night. They're the questions that drive us to reject societal norms, to carve our own path, to seek truth and authenticity in everything we do. And on a day like a birthday, when the world is telling us to celebrate, to relax, to enjoy the moment, these questions can feel especially urgent. Because for a Sigma, the pursuit of meaning is not something we can turn off. It's not something we can put on hold for a day of cake and balloons. It's a constant, relentless journey. And on a day like a birthday, that journey feels more important than ever. So what does this all mean? How can a Sigma male navigate the existential weight of a birthday without losing themselves in the process? The answer, as always, lies in authenticity. Instead of trying to fit into the societal mold of what a birthday should be, we can choose to redefine it on our own terms. We can choose to see it not as a day of celebration, but as a day of reflection. Not as a day of external validation, but as a day of internal alignment. Not as a day of superficial joy, but as a day of deep, meaningful introspection. Here's what that might look like in practice. Instead of throwing a party or gathering a group of people, spend the day alone. Not because you're antisocial, but because solitude is where you thrive. Take a journal, go for a walk, and use the day to reflect on your life. Ask yourself the big questions. Am I living authentically? Am I staying true to my values? Am I making the most of my time? And don't just focus on the past year. Look ahead. Think about where you want to go, who you want to become, and what steps you need to take to get there. Let your birthday be a reminder not of where you've been, but of where you're going. And if you do choose to spend time with others, do it on your terms. Surround yourself with people who truly understand you, who respect your boundaries, and who don't need a special occasion to show their appreciation for you. Let your relationships be a reflection of your values, not a performance for the sake of appearances. And if that means spending your birthday with 1 or 2 close friends instead of a large group, so be it. Because for a Sigma, quality always matters more than quantity. Finally, remember this. It's okay to hate your birthday. It's okay to feel uncomfortable, introspective, or even melancholic. These feelings are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign of depth. They're a reflection of your values, your independence, and your refusal to conform. And in a world that's constantly trying to box you in, those qualities are worth celebrating. Not in the way society expects you to celebrate, but in the way that feels true to who you are. So, if you're a Sigma male dreading your next birthday, take heart. You're not alone. Your feelings are valid, and they're rooted in the very qualities that make you who you are. And while the world might not understand your perspective, that's okay. Because you don't need the world's understanding. You don't need its validation. All you need is the courage to stay true to yourself, to live authentically, and to keep walking your own path, birthday or no birthday. And that, my friend, is worth more than any celebration.